With everyone at the academy watching, Yenranlu was basically the school's golden girl, a total genius. And at the summoning ceremony, she pulled Bai Qi, the god of slaughter, which was like a legendary move. But Lu Chong Shang just rolled his eyes like, seriously, only 40% compatibility and you guys are freaking out. Yenran shot him a death glare. You, the biggest slacker in our class, have the nerve to judge me. The whole crowd started laughing at him, calling Lu Chong Shang a total clown. So 100 years ago, this crazy mythic arena just showed up. Gods from all over woke up. And now when you turn 16, you can use your divine sense to summon one. If you pull it off, you get insane powers to rep your nation in the arena. But the whole thing is super risky. Summon the wrong god and they'll literally erase you from existence. And get this, Lu Chong Shang used to be a regular high schooler in his old life before he somehow got zapped into this world. He figured out that today was the day of miracles, a huge deal that only happens once every 10 years. The problem, the Hashira Pantheon's history is a complete mess. And because of that, they've been getting totally crushed by the Sakura Nation. Up on the stage, the city lord kicked off the summoning ceremony. You could feel the hope in the air, like everyone was holding their breath. Maybe today was the day Hashira would finally make a comeback. Lu Chong Shang sighed. In this world, one bad summon and you're literally dust. Then the Sword Immortal's daughter, Yenranlu, stepped up to go first. Literally everyone was staring at her. With her skills, she was bound to summon someone epic. But Hashira had already taken 2 L's this morning. If she could pull a powerful god, it would be a major comeback for their national pride. As Yenran walked up, the city lord was totally praying for a top-tier god. The second her hand hit the crystal, everything went wild. The elder next to the lord just stared, his jaw on the floor, a sure sign a super powerful god was on the way. 3 massive divine figures appeared over her, looking intense, and like nothing in Hashira's history books. Lu Chong Shang froze. He recognized them from his old world. The crowd started buzzing, totally confused. Then Yenran's voice cut through the noise. The god of slaughter's name is legendary. At Red Cliff he turned the river red with blood. I Yenranlu call on the great Bai Qi to come down. The godlike figure of Bai Qi floated down from the sky. But Lu Chong Shang was frowning. The Battle of Red Cliff. What's that got to do with Bai Qi? Wasn't he famous for the Battle of Changping? Those battles are like centuries apart. His friend Zhao whispered frantically. Dude, be quiet. That's the Sword Immortal's daughter. She knows her stuff. You can't just question her in front of everyone. The crowd just lost it, laughing and making fun of him. People were like, it's that clown again talking nonsense. They'd never even heard of the Battle of Changping. A huge wave of sadness hit Lu Chong Shang. So this is what happened to Hashira's history. My people have completely forgotten their own history. The city lord announced, compatibility at 40%. Summoned deity is the S-rank god of slaughter, Bai Qi. Yenran shot him a smug look, her eyes practically sparkling, with a look that screamed, see that's what real power looks like. Still, she'd need some time to level up. Now all they had to do was wait for her dad, the Sword Immortal, to get back from the front lines for the big mythic war. But Yenran wasn't done yet. She looked back up at the other 2 divine seals in the sky. The city lord frowned, thinking, okay, what's her plan now? Slowly, Yenran walked towards another one of the figures. It was an emperor in black robes who just screamed royalty. Whispers went through the crowd. That's gotta be Emperor Taizong Li Shimin of the Tang dynasty. He united the entire kingdom as a kid and was a total legend. But Lu Chong Shang just shook his head. No way. Tang emperors always wore imperial yellow, never black. As he got closer, this insane divine pressure washed over him, and a name started to click in the back of his mind. All of a sudden, an old man yelled, an emperor-class deity! We haven't seen one in 100 years! Trying to summon a god like that is a death sentence. And that elder was none other than Li Xian, the headmaster of Tianyi Academy, basically the best of Hashira's 4 major schools. Even the city lord was begging, Yenran, you're Hashira's only hope, you can't risk it. But you could tell she really didn't want to back down. She knew if she walked away, that emperor's spirit would be gone for good. Li Xian spoke up again. We're not about to gamble our future top fighter on a 1 in a million shot. He ordered Tianyi Academy to use 10 years' worth of the national fortune just to keep the emperor's spirit stable, hoping some gifted kid might actually recognize him. Then he looked out at all the students. He was looking for anyone who could name this god. I mean, the guy looked a lot like Taizong of Tang from the old records, but getting this right was a super big deal for Hashira right now. In this high-stakes game for national power, Hashira had already lost 2 huge rounds to the Sakura Nation. One more loss and it could be game over for them for real. Listen up, Li Xian warned. Summon the wrong god and you're dead. So, who's brave enough to try? People started whispering. Maybe this emperor wasn't Li Shimin after all. A failed summon was a death sentence. But the kids of Hashira had guts. A student immediately stepped up to volunteer. Even the girls weren't backing down. Chunu from Modu Academy, I'll do it. More and more names were called out from different schools, with everyone shouting, we'll die for Hashira. Then Lu Chong Shang raised his hand, cutting through the noise. Hold up. I know who this god is, and I think the headmaster might be wrong. I'm Lu Chong Shang from Ganling Academy, and I want to try the summon. The whole crowd gasped. Someone whispered, isn't that the same clown who was giving Yenran a hard time earlier? Zhao warned him quietly. Dude, if you mess this up and bind the wrong god, you're dead. Lu Chong Shang didn't say a word. The headmaster looked at him with a mix of shock and respect, thinking, this kid's got guts. Still, Li Xian seriously doubted Lu Chong Shang actually knew anything about this emperor's real story. According to the books, Taizong was still the closest match. But whatever he decided to give Lu a shot, as long as Lu knew what was on the line. Lucian got all serious, warning him to think it through. Lu Chong Shang just nodded and gave a little smirk. I got this, and the consequences, don't even sweat it. I know this emperor's whole deal. Across the arena, the Sakura Nation crew just started cracking up, totally dissing Lu Chong Shang. Like he was some idiot running straight into his own doom. But his own people from Hasha were roaring behind him, cheering like crazy. Lu took a deep breath and slapped his hand on the summoner's crystal. And just like that, this insane crimson light exploded out so bright it basically blinded everyone. Yenranlu was just staring, totally shook. Was he seriously awakening some crazy high-level god? The bottom of the class kid was actually one-upping her. The Sakura reps were freaking out. Wait, isn't orange supposed to be the best divine luck tier? Is there something even higher than orange? Even the Kaishan guys were grinding their teeth. Their whole world had never even seen a yellow aura. Headmaster Lin's voice was super serious. That's red divine luck. It means an SSS rank god. He broke it down slowly. White, green, blue, purple, orange. Those are the tiers everyone knows. But what most people don't get is that red is way above orange. The city lord gasped. An SSS ranked god? Is that even a real thing in Hasha's history? Lucian's eyes narrowed. SSS might be the ceiling for gods, but not for him. Even if he fought his equals, he'd totally wreck them. Yenranlu couldn't even speak. Lu Chong Shang's grades were so mid, but he somehow summoned something this insane. The giant that appeared was just radiating this epic power. Like a literal mountain came to life, a sign that Hasha was about to be unbeatable. When Xian finally got a good look at the figure, he totally froze. It was holding a battle axe, towering over everything. Could it be the ancient titan Xing Tian? Lu just smirked. Come on, headmaster. You know better than that. Xing Tian didn't have a head. His eyes were on his chest and his mouth was on his stomach. This ain't Xing Tian. He kinda sighed to himself. Can't really blame them, though. Hasha's old stories have been forgotten for way too long. Guess that's where I come in. Lu's voice boomed across the whole place. Back in the primordial chaos, Pangu was the one who created heaven and earth. He threw his hand up. I, Lu Chong Shang, humbly invite the creator god Pangu to come down. The whole crowd went dead silent. Creator god, like what even is that? People started whispering. The Hasha crowd was just staring, completely baffled. How did Lu know Pangu's real name, Pangu? The dude who literally split the sky from the ground, created everything, the top god of all gods. If Lu could actually fight with Pangu on his side, the other nations were gonna be crying. Then the system screen popped up in front of him. Frowny face character, Lu Chong Shang resonance rate 1% divine patron Pangu. Meanwhile, up in Hasha's godland, every god had its own rank, but Pangu the creator god was on top of them all. Boom! A huge clang just rocked the whole realm. As word got out, some young trainee lifted his hammer and rang 9 heavy bells. The sound just washed over the land like a tsunami. Miles away, the sword immortal Lu Qing stopped mid-fight, thinking he was just hearing things. Lucian was literally shaking with excitement. 9 bells. 9. That's the number of ultimate power. Nobody's heard that since like forever. You actually woke up the supreme god. Even Yenranlu was shook. Hasha's top-tier gods usually only get 3 bells. And he got 9! The Sakura Nation section absolutely lost it. You gotta be kidding me. Some random Hasha kid awakens a supreme god. Emperor Tokugawa instantly turned to the serpent handler next to him and asked, Can you deal with him? The guy just sneered. He's a total noob, even if he's got a supreme god's blessing. With his resonance level right now, there's no way he can actually summon Pangu into the arena. 1 hit and I'll rip him to shreds. Tokugawa's voice got icy. We've been beefing with Hasha for generations. He can't be allowed to live. We gotta take this prodigy out before he even gets started. And just like that, the Sakura Nation kicked off a lock-name god war. Pangu's massive figure started to fade out. Yeah, SSS tier is the known limit for gods, but that's not Pangu's final form. With Lu Chong Shang's current resonance, he can't actually bring Pangu into the fight, but he can totally still call on other gods. As he walked toward another statue, something weird happened. The stone floor right under him just blew up and a force shot him into the air. Lucian's face went white. Sakura just burned 10 years of their national luck. They started a lock-name god war against Hasha. A second later, Lu Chong Shang was swallowed by a blinding light ripped right out of the arena and thrown into some empty void before he could even summon his god. He just faded into mist, and not even Lin was strong enough to get him back. Lucian and the city lord charged at the Sakura crew screaming, You pathetic cowards! Even sweet Yenranlu couldn't stop herself. She was totally cursing them out under her breath. Meanwhile, the Sakura side was hyped. They just smirked watching the Hasha people lose their minds. A minute ago they were scared of a genius. Now he's basically toast. If they could just take out Lu Chong Shang, they'd get back the 10 years of national luck. They just torched. At the same time, miles away, the sword immortal Lu Qing got an emergency alert about a national luck war. His assistant ran in totally panicking. It's the Sakura Nation. They burned 10 years of their luck to force open the mythic arena. They're trying to wipe out our prodigy. Lock name battles can only go after S-rank chosen or higher. Once you're locked in, both of you have to fight. Sweat was pouring down the assistant's face. They'd drain their whole country just to take out one guy. That's so messed up. Lu Qing's jaw clenched. If our genius goes down today, then next year I'm flying my sword straight into their capital. Like 2.5 minutes later, Lu Chong popped into existence on the divine battlefield. Across from him, the Orochi's chosen was just chilling, waiting for him. That dude's power alone could have ripped Lu to pieces, but Lu just stood there cool as a cucumber. He knew summoning Pangu was a total no-go. His only real shot was that the Emperor God locked in by Lian's fortune seal would pop up again. The Orochi's chosen scowled. What's the matter, kid? Too scared to even look at me. But a second later, his eyes bugged out. Lu Chongqing wasn't scared at all. He was actually cracking a small smile. That snakehead of yours would make some killer soup. Orochi's chosen just laughed all dark and nasty. Hey, you got a sharp tongue. Let's see how long that lasts when you're on your knees begging. As they locked eyes, a woman floated down from the sky, her golden hair glowing surrounded by this insane divine light, landing like a feather right between them. She was the ref for the arena, the judge who'd call every single move. If Hua lost this, over half of its people's fate energy would be totally drained to power up the Sakura Nation. A see-through screen flickered to life in front of Lu Chong Shang. The Mythic Arena's rulebook. Rule 1, every match randomly gets 5 gods. The chosen picks one to summon. Rule 2, any summoned god fights only once and is gone for good. Rule 3, best of 5, the winner lives, while the losing god and their summoner are totally wiped out. Lu Chong Shang read the rules and felt nothing but ice in his veins. Winner lives, loser dies. Hundreds had already been devoured by Orochi's monster. Today he was evening the score. Orochi's chosen just sneered. Perfect. This is exactly the kind of deathmatch I live for. Once both of them confirmed the rules, the host raised her hand and announced, the match begins. Repping the Sakura Nation, Matsumoto Jinso and S-rank chosen bonded with the double S-rank god Yamada no Orochi. And repping Hasha Lu Chong Shang bonded with the triple S-rank creator god Pangu. The golden-haired announcer smiled, her voice full of hype and excitement. This is gonna be a battle for the ages. Then darkness just swallowed the sky as a ginormous 8-headed serpent descended, its roars literally shaking the heavens. Matsumoto laughed like a psycho. Yes, victory is ours. Orochi already tore up 2 of your gods. You should be shaking, little Hasha boy. Behind Lu Chong Shang, 5 glowing silhouettes shimmered into view. Their light filled the whole arena, but the crowd just groaned. Still no creator, God Pangu? One single thought was on everyone's mind. The heavens have totally abandoned Ha. But Lu Chongqing's eyes were zeroed in on one specific figure out of the 5, an emperor who looked absolutely majestic. A legend like him should never be forgotten or just left to get buried by time. From the stands, Lian yelled, all stressed out, Chongshan, that emperor god, that has to be tongue-ties Shiman. But Yenranlu frowned a little. Nah. I think that emperor's vibe feels more like Zhu Yuanzhang, the Ming emperor. Lu Chongqing sighed to himself. Asterisk, both wrong. He lifted his head, his eyes locked on the imperial shadow, and spoke with total calm. The king of Qin steamrolled the 6 states. All the lords bowed down to him. His power and vision created an empire that would last forever. His voice thundered across the arena. Your descendant Lu Chongshan shows his respect to the first emperor of Hasha. Qin Shi Huang, boom! An explosion of brilliant gold light completely engulfed the imperial statue. Divine light poured down from the sky. The figure became solid, stepping right out of myth and into reality. Qin Shi Huang, the eternal emperor, had arrived on the divine battlefield. The city lord was so happy he could barely speak. Heaven bless Hasha! But Lai Xian just sighed, looking grim. Man, he's just a human god. Human gods are way weaker than the beast or demon ones. Even though Lu Chongqing's connection is strong, Orochi is a legit yokai god. This could end really badly. Matsumoto Jinso just burst out laughing. I knew you couldn't summon the creator. And you really pulled out a weak little mortal god, how pathetic. Lu Chongshan didn't even look at him. He turned to Qin Shi Huang with a serious face and bowed low. Your unworthy descendant, Lu Chongshang, honors his ancestor. The world might have forgotten you, my lord, but from this day on, your story will live forever. You united the 6 kingdoms, built the Great Wall, and made a nation no enemy dared to touch. As he said it, a golden dragon burst out of Qin Shi Huang's body, spiraling up into the clouds. A system alert popped up, Lu Chong's resonance with Qin Shi Huang 60%. The Hasha students went absolutely insane, cheering their heads off. Hearing Lu Chongqing's speech, a lot of people realized for the first time that their own history had such an incredible emperor. Matsumoto Shinso just scoffed, his voice dripping with hate. So what if he's an emperor? A little human god can't do a single thing against a real deity. Seeing Qin Shi Huang's confused look, Lu Chongshang explained quietly. There are invaders from other lands, and they're trying to crush Hasha. Qin Shi Huang's expression turned to pure steel. His voice boomed like thunder, shaking the whole arena. Anyone who offends Huasha will be destroyed no matter how far they run. The Sakura section of the crowd exploded with mocking laughter. Oh, listen to the tiny mortal god trying to act tough. Did you forget how we ripped your last 2 gods to pieces? Matsumoto sneered. Big words, just what you'd expect from an emperor, even if they're your last. With a quick flick of his wrist, dark energy swirled around him. Orochi, get ready! Let's teach this mortal what a real god is! Orochi hissed, all 8 of its voices overlapping in a creepy chorus. I was expecting a real battle, but this fragile human dares to stand in front of me. You wouldn't even be a good snack. Pure fury flashed in Qin Shi Huang's eyes. Since the day he took the throne, nobody had ever dared to disrespect him like that. Golden light gathered in his palm, forming into a sword that was 3 feet and 6 inches long. Its light was so bright it split the clouds. It was the legendary weapon of unification. This sword, Qin Shi Huang declared, is the very soul of Qin's power, forged for one nation, one empire. In the distance, the warriors from the Indra Empire just stared, totally floored. That human god? For real, he's actually going to take Orochi on directly. Even the crowd from the Korean peninsula was feeling bad for the Hashin nation. Like you finally summon a god just to watch him get wrecked. Tons of people were watching. Totally hooked, dying to see if a mortal with god powers could actually hang with a real demon god. Orochi's eyes glowed a deep red as its laugh literally shook the heavens. All right, come on then. A human emperor, swing your little toy sword. Just try not to make this boring too fast. And just like that, Orochi lunged, all 8 heads roaring at once. A mortal thinks they can challenge a god. You pathetic worm, get ready to die! Boom! The serpent's attack smashed the arena to bits. Chunks of rock and divine light exploded into the air. The Sakura Emperor just smirked, a confident glint in his eyes. Yep, it's over. This so-called human emperor is about to be ripped to shreds just like all the others. The stands were filled with laughter and trash talk. A human god? How lame. Doesn't matter what his rank is. His kind are born weak. No match for a true god. But then clang! A massive golden gate made of swords shot up from the ground, reaching for the sky. Qin Shi Huang's own sword lit up with dragonfire. With one clean sweep, he lopped off one of Orochi's heads, his blade glowing with the ghostly image of a 5-clawed golden dragon. Thud. The head slammed onto the ground, its golden blood raining down everywhere. The Sakura Emperor was totally frozen in complete disbelief. No way! He's just a mortal emperor. How does he have that kind of power? From the Hasha section, Yenranlu screamed, full of hype. He did it, the human emperor took off its head in one hit. Even Orochi flinched. Ugh, that power! It's not divine! How can a mortal have the same strength as a god? Qin Shi Huang's voice was like thunder, super calm but final. Those who follow the path of heaven will live. Those who go against it will be destroyed. This power I have, he announced, comes from Hasha's thousands of years of Qi training, the breathing technique for leveling up a path that spits in the face of gods. Li was literally shaking with excitement. Qi training. I had no idea our ancestors figured out something this insane. All 8 of Orochi's mouths hissed together. Kinda interesting, but you only got one head. Then the flesh started twisting and the wound bubbled up. And in just a few seconds, a brand new serpent head grew back, its eyes glowing red again. Ha ha! I'm eternal, I can't die! What's a mortal god gonna do against infinity? To Orochi, mortals were born to bow down. But this emperor, this guy actually made it bleed. Just for that, he was gonna make sure Qin Shi Huang's soul was erased forever. But Qin Shi Huang didn't even flinch. Gods or demons. He didn't care. He'd stared down death 1,000 times and never backed down. If he was going down today, he'd go down standing proud as the first emperor of Hasha. Orochi totally lost its cool. You arrogant human, let me show you what real god power looks like. All 8 heads blasted out rivers of black fire and poison, crashing down on Qin Shi Huang like the whole world was ending. The emperor slammed his foot down. The ground cracked open. His power shot out, shattering the serpent's attack like it was glass. Every step he took sounded like a mountain collapsing. But still, gods and mortals were never meant to be on the same level. The emperor's godlike aura started to flicker, and he was losing steam against Orochi's non-stop attacks. Meanwhile, Orochi's wounds just sealed themselves up with a disgusting ease. Its laugh echoed across the destroyed arena. You can't kill me, human. I am forever. The Hasha crowd went dead silent. Some people were crying. Others were clenching their fists so hard their knuckles turned white. They weren't scared of losing. They were scared that their first emperor, their ultimate hero, would fall right here all over again. Qin Shi Huang's expression got serious. Not even the ancient immortals could actually live forever. But this thing can! In a flash, he was gone then, right in front of Orochi, his sword already swinging. Another head hit the floor. He was gonna find out what was faster, Orochi's healing or his blade. But after just 2 quick moves, Orochi's fang hit its mark, slamming into the emperor's chest with a force that shook the ground. Crash Qin. Shi Huang's body smashed into the floor, cracking the holy arena under him. He dropped to one knee on the broken stone, struggling to breathe. His spiritual energy was almost completely gone. Then a girl's scream cut through the silence. That's our ancestor! He can't lose! Not like this! Dean Lin felt his heart just drop. His hand was shaking over the surrender button. If Lu Chong Shang could just make it out of this alive, maybe Hasha would still have a future. But how could he just sit there and watch their founding father bleed for them all over again? High above Orochi's 8 heads moved like a dark storm, blocking out all the light. Its very presence just ate away at all hope. And still, through all the chaos, the Emperor heard it. The faint sound of war drums, the shouts of 10,000 soldiers, the roar of the Qin Empire itself. He slowly got to his feet, blood running down his arm, his eyes burning with golden rage. Then he spoke, his voice commanding the heavens and the earth. Everything under the sky belongs to my throne. What pathetic creature dares to throw a tantrum in front of me? In the very next second, a godly shadow ripped out of Lu Chong Shang's body, pulled up by some ancient invisible power. Then one by one, golden shapes burst out from the chests of every single Hasha citizen watching, their own inner spirits flowing together into a glowing stream that shot toward the arena. The lights hardened into rows of ghostly soldiers in armor, the immortal Qin Legion created by the first emperor himself, the guardians of Hasha's forever growing power. Qin Shi Huang's projection floated above the golden tide of soldiers. With his eyes on fire, a chilling smile crept onto his face. So tell me, so demon, you think you can handle this? His voice literally boomed across the heavens. Get him! And the whole sky just shook. Matsumoto Genzo Orochi's guy went totally white. No way! How is some random human god pulling in this many divine spirits? But he got a grip, whispering, he's just a dude still weak. My Orochi is forever. There's no way he can lose. Then a messed up idea hit him. If he just took out the summoner, the whole fight would be over. God or whatever, he hissed and just vanished. I'm ending you before you even get started. Whoosh! He was gone, and then in a flash, he popped up right behind Lu Chong Shang, his sword dripping with some nasty demonic poison. Look out! Yenranlu and Deanli screamed at the same time. The blade swung, clang, sparks flew as it just nicked Lu Chong Shang's neck, but didn't even draw a single drop of blood. His eyes narrowed. Too slow, dude. He grabbed Matsumoto's wrist and flipped him, thud, slamming him so hard into the arena floor he left a crater. The whole crowd gasped. How he's a rookie chosen with only like 1% resonance? How is he that strong? Lu Chong Shang just smirked, his voice ice cold. Even 1% of Pangu's power was enough to totally rebuild my body. That little toy you're calling a sword was never gonna cut me. I was literally remade by the breath of creation. Matsumoto scrambled up, totally furious and snarling. It's not bad for a human, but you have no idea what I can really do. Matsumoto Jinzo's body started twisting like crazy, then split into a perfect clone of himself. He gave this totally evil grin. You're just a pathetic bug. You don't get what arcane divinity is all about. He roared and threw his arms out. Shadow clone art! And boom now. There were 2 Matsumotos on the field with the exact same power level. This is my real power. My clones have all my strength. It's 2 against 1 now. Good luck with that. Lu Chong Shang didn't even blink. He was super calm. This was over the second you opened your mouth. In a split second, he lunged and grabbed both clones by the ankles. Boom! The next instant, he smashed them into each other with insane strength. You could hear bones cracking like thunder. He let them go and kinda laughed. Not bad for an S-class pick. At least you're tough. The Hasha crowd went absolutely wild. Lu Chong Shang is a beast. Girls were screaming, waving flags, and literally crying with happiness. One girl even screamed, I'd marry him right now. No dowry, I'll even throw in 10 free apartments. On the other side, the Sakura fans were panicking. Lord Orochi, please go nuclear on them. Wreck Hasha. The Sakura Emperor was shaking his face, totally pale. He knew. If Orochi lost this, his whole country was done for. He'd be remembered as the emperor who tanked his own nation. But it didn't matter how much they prayed. Down on the field, the giant serpent was getting totally shredded. Qin Shi Huang's imperial sword attack was raining thousands of golden blades, just slicing up Orochi's flesh over and over. Pretty soon, the snake's huge body was just ribbons. The first emperor's spirit was owning the field. But right when it looked like game over, Orochi let out this ear-splitting scream. It was starting the sacrifice ritual. All at once, the cheering Sakura fans just melted into this red mist, all their life energy flying towards the arena. Orochi's dead body started twitching, sucking up the life force of its own followers. Its skin and scales grew back, and its power level shot through the roof. In just a few seconds, the monster was totally healed and was way stronger faster, and a whole lot scarier. Meanwhile, Lu Chong Shang punched his fist straight through Matsumoto's chest. It was over. The second his chosen died, Orochi's connection broke. The god's projection just shattered into light and zipped back to the gate of creation. That's why Lu Chong didn't attack first. He wanted the first emperor to finish the job. That snake had to be put down for good. Orochi laughed, its 8 heads all smug. You dumb Hasha! God, you think this fight is with me? Nope. You're fighting the belief of millions, the will of my entire nation. Qin Shi Huang's eyes glowed like liquid gold. Belief you call that belief, you're literally eating your own people. His voice, usually so steady, was now booming with rage. These so-called followers of yours are just food for you. You've made a total joke out of the word God. Over in the Sakura section, it was total chaos. People were running for their lives, terrified they were next on the menu for the god they used to worship. The emperor's voice got quieter, not because he was weak, but because he was dropping some serious truth. I spent my whole life chasing immortality. Everyone said I was crazy. But now I get it, it was never for me. It was for this moment. For Hasha. He started to float up, his golden aura flaring up like a sun. May everyone under the sky be as mighty as dragons. May my name Qin Shi Huang echo forever through time. His light just exploded, shattering into a million beams of light that rained down on every Hasha warrior and their god forms. The light soaked into their armor, juicing up the immortal Qin Legion. Their connection with their gods just kept climbing and climbing, way past normal human limits. Yenranlu's screen was going haywire, her resonance stat was skyrocketing. And in the stands, every single person from Hasha felt it like their blood was on fire. Their spirits just roaring. At the same time, the Emperor's body was aging super fast, his skin cracking like ancient stone. But he was still smiling proud because his dream was never about him living forever. It was about his people living forever. The crowd was crying. Is this really the power of our ancestors? A normal guy with the heart of a god. He was getting weaker, but his will was burning brighter than ever. Even the king of the Britannic Empire was just frozen, staring at his screen. Orochi eats its followers, and the Hashan god gives his life for his. That's the difference between a monster and a real god. The whole world went dead silent. Then it hit everyone. So this asterisk is the East. This is Hasha. No wonder they're basically unbreakable. Qin Shi Huang coughed. His voice was thin, but totally in charge. Immortal Qin Legion sound off. A crazy loud roar answered back, literally shaking the whole realm. At your command! The Emperor stood tall, and even his wrinkles were glowing with light. All troops move out. Take out the invaders. Protect Hasha. And just like that, the divine army charged. Thousands of ghost warriors in golden armor surged forward, their blades gleaming like the sunrise, facing that monster Orochi in one epic final battle. Even Orochi was shook. It could totally feel the Emperor's life force fading. But somehow this dying dude was commanding a power that rocked the heavens. Asterisk, swoosh, asterisk. The divine army of golden phantoms charged as one. Their swords came down like a freaking storm, slicing the serpents' heads into shreds of flesh and fire. In just a few seconds, the beast's freshly healed body was ripped apart all over again, its nasty black blood flooding the arena. Orochi's eyes burned crimson. If strength isn't enough, then I'll just devour them all. Another wave of Sakura citizens screamed as their bodies literally turned to dust, their souls getting sucked into the serpent's dying body. The Sakura Emperor's face went ghost white. Stop! You're gonna destroy us all. Everyone left, nobles, priests, warriors, all dropped to their knees. Please, great Orochi. Enough, we're begging you, just die with some dignity. From the stands, people were screaming in rage. The Hashan god gives his people life, and you monster, you just feast on us. There's no one left for you to sacrifice. The serpent trembled, its very essence tearing apart from the inside. Even its insane regeneration failed. It could only watch, totally helpless, as its own body was ripped to pieces by the glowing blades of Qin Shi Huang's legion. The Emperor raised his sword one last time, his voice booming like thunder. Orochi, your own people have ditched you. Now by the will of Chen be erased. Asterisk. A legit golden dragon erupted from the blade, roaring up to the heavens, before diving straight through the serpent's skull, completely wiping out its divine soul. The arena went dead silent as the light faded. The outcome was crystal clear. Orochi was done. Lu Chong Shang turned to the fallen Matsumoto, his voice flat and cold as death. Your god is gone. So are you. Asterisk, crack, asterisk. One step, and the dude's neck snapped clean. Matsumoto Shinso died instantly, his body crumbling to ash in a heartbeat. The entire world held its breath. Then the announcer's trembling voice broke the silence. What an unbelievable battle. Winner Lu Chong Shang of Hasha, current score Hasha 1, Sakura 2. The arena just exploded with cheers. He did it, Lu Chong Shang actually did it. Dean Li Xian was trembling, his voice breaking, he was so emotional. This is beyond god level. A mortal who just surpassed the gods. Even the referee gave a slight bow. Man, you could tell by his tone a duel like this would be remembered forever. Brace yourselves. The next divine war begins in a few. In the middle of the arena, Qin Shi Huang's golden image wavered. He coughed twice, then slowly stood up straight. His frame was bent, but he stood totally firm. From the Hasha stands came a deafening roar. Your Majesty! Nobody could figure out why the first emperor looked so weak. Lai's voice was heavy. He has no worshippers, no faith to power him. He fought this war by burning his own life force. The emperor's form flickered, turning into drifting light. I instinctively rushed forward, desperate to stop him from fading away. But he just smiled, his eyes warm and proud. Lu Chong Shang, my time is up. The fate of everyone under the sky is in your hands now. His body dissolved into shimmering dust before I could even reach him. Lian lowered his head. A god only lives through belief, and we forgot him. So he burned the last of his life to come back for us. Tears just streamed down his face. We, his descendants, failed him. Then, asterisk, ding, asterisk, the system screen popped up in front of me. Status Qin Shi Huang temporarily sealed. Condition can be resummoned once faith energy is restored. Resonance 90%. I blinked, then let out a huge sigh of relief that he wasn't gone. Not for good. The first emperor was just waiting. And crazily enough, my resonance with Pangu had also gone up. Thank heavens, I whispered. He's only resting. A fierce new determination was burning inside me. If one day I can summon hundreds of gods and call on Pangu himself, then Hasha will never lose again. I lifted my head, shouting across the arena. Qin Shi Huang hasn't fallen, he's just sleeping, and when his name is heard all across the land again, he will rise. Lai Xian's voice rang out, totally choked with pride. Record everything. Let his name be carved into history forever. Just then, a calm, razor-sharp aura filled the arena. A tall figure in white stepped out from the shadows. It was the Sword Saint Lu Qing, with a secretary following him. The next divine war was about to pop off. At that moment, the secretary next to Sword Saint Lu Qing let out this sly, chilling smile. With my blood, she whispered, let the divine arena awaken. Raising her hand toward Lu Qing, she announced coldly, from the Sakura Nation, Hanam Miko challenges Huasha's Lu Qing to a divine duel. The match starts in 10 minutes. Lu Qing froze, his shock turning into pure fury. A freaking spy from Sakura. The realization hit him instantly. If he was forced into this trap, Hasha would have no one left to fight in the big mythic tournament. Seeing her cover was blown, Hanam Miko dropped the act. Her voice was dripping with satisfaction. For 10 years, she had waited 10 whole years by the Sword Saint's side for this one moment of betrayal that could cripple an entire nation. She was a total fanatic about it. Once Lu Qing fell, she believed even a prodigy like Lu Chong Shang would be crushed before he could ever become a threat. In her mind, Huasha was destined to kneel to Sakura's flag. You just signed your own death warrant! Lu Ying roared, his blade a blur of silver. Behind him, his divine avatar flared to life, swordlight slicing through the air. Traitor, you're gonna die on my blade. Meanwhile, Dean Lin got the emergency call. His face went pale, his stomach dropping. A moment later, his voice boomed through the command hall. Sword Saint Lu Ying was taken out by a Sakura spy. He's not gonna make it to the duel. We need a new champion for the next divine battle now. The Hasha ranks totally exploded. No way, I can't believe they'd play that dirty. Without Lu Ying, we've got like 0 chance. Orochi had already taken out 2 of our academy heads. Lu Ying was the only one who'd ever had a perfect record against Sakura's gods. He was Hasha's last hope. And now the 4th divine battle was right around the corner, and they still hadn't picked a replacement. Behind Dean Lin, an epic phoenix projection materialized. The Dean's fists tightened. Lu Chong Qing is way too drained from the last fight. This time, I'm going in. Lu Chong Qing immediately stepped up. His eyes were totally determined. Dean, let me go. I've got a better shot at winning. If you go, you're just throwing your life away for nothing. The Dean paused, a deep frown on his face. Chongqing, you've already done more than enough. The 2 prodigies behind him jumped in, telling him to back down. Bro, you can't know every god that gets summoned. The Dean's experience is probably our safest bet here. Lu Chongqing looked at their worried faces, then calmly turned to Lu Yanran. I'm not being crazy, he said, his voice low. I just know I can win. As he spoke, this massive celestial tower shot up behind him, its jade-like walls glowing with divine light reaching up into the clouds. He started to speak. I had this dream. An immortal touched my head and just smiled. When I woke up, it was like every lost legend of Hasha, every forgotten god was downloaded into my brain. The whole arena was shook. The tower looming behind him was pulsing with this insane divine light. Was this like a real piece of heaven? Then Lu Chongqing's voice echoed across the divine arena. In the heavens, there's a capital of jade, with 12 towers 5 levels high. The immortal touched my forehead, and now I'm bound to an eternal life. In that 1 second, the entire world shifted. Phoenixes started swooping down from golden clouds, flying around the jade tower while this heavenly music started playing. Dean Lin was trembling, half in shock, half in understanding. Enlightenment in a single moment, immortal touching the divine, he whispered. So that's how he knows about all these gods no one remembers? Lu Chongqing stepped toward him. So Dean, he asked quietly, you still think I can't do this? Let me fight. The city lord was still on the fence. Your spirit is awesome, but the Dean's knowledge of the gods is on another level. You're too young to get yourself killed over pride. Lu Chongqing didn't even reply. He just looked up and recited, a phoenix flies past the 9 skies, born again in Kunlun's fire. With a crimson fruit, it protects our world. Its golden glow makes everything right. A waterfall of divine light poured down from the sky. The ghost-like bird behind Dean Lin started shaking like crazy. He could feel it. A jolt of divine power was surging into his god, and it was a gift from Lu Chongqing himself. The crowd gasped. The Dean's ancient shin bird was totally transforming, reborn as the phoenix, a creature straight out of myth. For the first time, everyone got it. Lu Chongqing wasn't being cocky. He was just telling the truth. The young man gave a small smile. So do you believe I've earned my spot on that stage? Now I know all of Hasha's secret myths, the stories everyone else has forgotten. Seeing all this, Dean Lin finally let out a long breath, his eyes shining with pride. Looks like Lu Chongqing really is Hasha's lucky star. He gently motioned for the young man to go rest and get ready for the fight. But Lu Chongqing didn't head for the seats. Instead, he turned and walked right up to Lu Yanran. His voice was steady, but it had a divine hum that made the air vibrate. Okay, you're up, Lord of Wuan, a name that lives forever. At Changping, the god of slaughter was born. His iron cavalry crushed 6 kingdoms. Even ghosts were terrified of his power. In that moment, the divine energy behind Lu Yanran exploded. The war god Bai Qi, the one who wiped out 100 legions, was back. His ghost form was blazing, reignited by Lu Chongqing's divine power. But that kind of power-up had a serious cost that Lu Yunren's life force started draining away fast with every beat of her heart. The crowd could barely breathe. The legendary slacker was literally gifting divinity to an S-rank god. And Lu Chong Shang? He just smiled, totally unfazed. He knew this was taking years off his life, but if his own blood could give Hasha even a flicker of hope, it was worth it. In that instant, he looked larger than life, his outline glowing and totally unbreakable. Without him, Hasha would have been toast a long time ago. High above the arena, the divine pressure started to build again. The fourth battle in the mythic arena was about to kick off. The host's voice thundered. Both nations bring out your champions. Fighting for Hasha, the guy who does the impossible, Lu Chong Shang, and representing the Sakura nation, the flower of the East, Sakura Momo. The Sakura crowd just lost it, booing and laughing. Hasha must be getting desperate sending the same kid out again. So lame. The Sakura Emperor just smirked, a nasty glint in his eyes. The mole we planted next to the Sword Saint finally came through. He was totally sure of himself. Sakura Momo's divine avatar was all about charm and seduction, designed to wrap him around her finger. Hasha's loss was already a done deal. Momo tilted her head, her voice like pure honey. I've been so looking forward to this, Lu-kun. She was as pretty as a cherry blossom for real. But low-key that sweetness was hiding some major venom, all ego and lies. And the guys from Hasha, they were completely mesmerized by her. Their cheering just died. Dean Lee's fists were clenched tight. Her charm is so OP it can even break through divine shields. Damn it. How do we have zero intel on her divine host? Momo just gently put her hand on the summoning stone. Instantly, a bunch of shadowy figures flickered behind her, each one giving off seriously dark vibes. Up above, the UI lit up, summoning countdown. 50 seconds left. Momo was just standing there. She hit him with a wicked grin. You're gonna lose your chance if you don't hurry. The Hasha fans were starting to panic. What is he waiting for? Less than a minute left. Summon your god already. Just then, Momo's ritual finished, and this insane aura just exploded. 9 snow-white tails fanned out behind a woman who was legit stunning. You could hear people gasping all over the global broadcast. Who even is that deity? She's breathtaking. Even the monks from India had to look away, their prayer beads shaking. Nobody had ever seen this goddess before. Her whole vibe was both divine and kinda twisted. But Lu Chong Shang just cracked a small smile. Just as I thought, he muttered. The queen of fox demons, Tamamo no Mae, one of Sakura's 3 great yokai. Now that he knew his opponent, he didn't hesitate. In the final 30 seconds, Lu slammed his palm on the summoning crystal. The crystal blew up with bright light, sending out these waves of ancient energy. His eyes went wide for a second, then he focused. So it's you. Thunder literally rolled as a giant armored figure dropped down from the clouds. Marshal Tianpong of the Heavenly Gate. His iron armor was blazing in the sun. They say his rake can split mountains. His 36 transformations can beat any odds. Lu Chong Shang had summoned the one and only Marshal Tianpong. Dean Li and the city lord stared completely shocked. Is Lu Chong Shang seriously summoning a yokai? You could feel the doubt spreading. Lu's patron was a human deity, and a summoner's family line usually sets the class of spirits they can summon. He'd called Pengu before a human god. If Lu tried to summon a demon god now and failed, the price would be his life. From the main stage, a voice called out, "The disciple Lu Chong Shang welcomes Marshal Tianpong Zhugang Li." The Sakura section erupted with laughter and jeers. The Hasha prodigy dares to summon a yokai. Didn't the other guys who tried summoning demons die right on the altar? The Sakura Emperor scoffed. If he's choosing a suicide mission, it just proves he can't summon real gods. He's just desperate. But in the next second, the whole warrior look of Zhugang Li's huge form just seemed to peel away, revealing a tall, handsome guy underneath looking totally in charge. The Sakura crowd went absolutely wild with disbelief. How did that summon even work? On Hasha's side, the cheers were deafening. They had no idea how, but they knew one thing. Lu Chong Shang was on a whole other level. A proud smile spread across Dean Li's face. Pangu's legacy is way stronger than we thought. Maybe he actually has a chance. The Sakura Emperor snorted. A male yokai. Do they really think a guy can resist Tamamo's charm? So stupid? Marshal Tianpong stood in the center of the arena, holding his 9-toothed rake towering nearly 10 feet tall. Lu Chong Shang couldn't help but be a little shook by his size. Tianpong blinked, confused by all the noise. Yo, why is it so loud out here? Lu Chong Shang gave him the simple version. This is the mythic arena. Foreign gods are trying to crush Hasha. He bowed his head and begged, Marshal Tianpong, please, for Hasha, you have to put these invading deities down. To Lu's surprise, Tianpong just casually shrank his huge rake, looking so reluctant it was almost funny. This old bore here, the marshal grumbled, just wants some moonlight and quiet. I'm not a fan of all this fighting. Why should I care about some foreign drama? He was totally ready to bounce. Lu Chong Shang stepped up and stopped him, his voice sounding super urgent. Marshal, fight for Huaxia. If you stand with us, our people live. If you fight, Huaxia survives. Marshal Tianpong just lazily dug at his ear and snorted. That crowd out there is deafening. My ears are gonna get calluses. Since the marshal was clearly about to leave, Lu Chong Shang stepped forward and asked seriously, Marshal? Would you want to see Cheng again to stand with the great sage and Tang Sanzang one more time? The marshal actually paused, looking surprised. Faith is weak these days. The world's gone soft. You know about Changi and that monkey and monk? Lu Chong Shang smirked a little. Don't underestimate me. I don't just know about them, I can summon them. Tianpong's face was pure disbelief. And how exactly do you plan on doing that? Lu's voice was steady, trying to get the marshal hyped. Brother Pig, I know you hate being someone's pawn, but if we can wake up Hasha's gods, if we can rally the power of both heaven and Buddha, we can destroy this darkness and get your honor back. If you fight for Wasia, he said, I will free Chang'e the great sage and Xuanzang from their chains. But for today, you have to stand and fight. Those words hit hard. A crazy, powerful aura exploded from Tianpong, and it felt like the air itself was bowing to him. In the next instant, he showed his true form and grabbed Lu Chong Shang by the collar, looking half joking and half furious. This old pig isn't that easy to fool. His giant hand gripped the kid's throat with crushing force. Lu kept his cool and choked out, Don't kill me yet. First check out my patron deity. And right on cue, a red silhouette of a god appeared above the arena. The original creator, Pangu himself. Lu was totally begging Tianpong to let go before his grip got any tighter. The marshal's voice dropped to a dead whisper, Pangu the Great. And just like that, he eased up. The doubt in his eyes was gone, replaced with some serious respect. Yeah, someone who could wake up Pangu was not a person you mess with. Lu gave him a half smile. So Marshal, you gonna fight for us now? It was like a light switched on in Tianpong's eyes. If Pangu is standing with you, then so is old pig. Name an enemy, any enemy, and I'll take them down. The second those words were out, Lu Chong Shang locked his eyes on the woman up on the platform. He said super calmly, Bro, your next target is her. Zhu Gonglai followed his gaze and just grinned. A girl old pig can drop her with one punch. Lu Chong Shang immediately shut that down with a heavy warning. Don't underestimate her. She's one of Sakura's 4 great yokai, the nine-tailed fox. Her specialty is persuasion. She's got this insane pull on men. The Sakura crowd totally lost it laughing. Look at him, he's so whipped the Tianyuan prince is already under Momo's spell. With a huge roar, Tianpong slammed his 9-toothed rake into the ground, and the impact sent shockwaves through the whole arena. In a heartbeat, he shifted into his human form, huge, ready for battle, and prepared to stand right next to Lu Chong Shang. But plot twist, the marshal's rugged vibe made everyone gasp. Even a girl in the Sakura section was suddenly crushing on him hard. Far away, the monks from India were whispering, This ancient warrior's power is no joke. An elder in the Britannic section wondered out loud, Can a tough guy yokai like him really resist Tamamo's crazy charm? On the platform, Sakura Momo moved like a cat, every step perfectly calculated. Suddenly, she slipped off her outer kimono, striking a pose that was pure intoxicating confidence. Her smile got sharper, becoming a flirty but strategic invitation. Lu Chong Shang, why don't you join us? Become Sakura's champion. She was 100% convinced that if he switched sides, Sakura would treat him like a king. More than that, she promised he'd be safe. In Sakura, a new prodigy wouldn't be thrown into one deadly duel after another. She quietly cast a subtle spell and offer hidden in all the flirting. Come to Sakura and she would be his wife. Dan Shen's face went white. This wasn't just a tactic. It was a full-on attack on his loyalty. The city lord yelled out, Lu, don't fall for it. Lu Chong Shang knew deep down this was bad. Her magic was seriously strong. Without an iron will, most guys would have caved. Even the good people from Hasha were blushing. And who could blame them? Up close, the temptation felt so real you could almost touch it. His answer, though, was a hard no. He was not about to ditch his people for Sakura. But Sakura Momo didn't give up. She cranked up the charm and moved closer step by step, totally done with talking. Lu raised his palm and summoned the 9-toothed rake. His voice was calm, but the command in it left zero room for argument. The 9-toothed rake was just a projection of a divine-level weapon. But with Marshal Tianpong promising to fight, Lu Chong Shang could now tap into the rake's power and get a glimpse of its insane techniques. Her attempt to get him to switch sides was a total fail. Sakura Momo dropped the sweet act and sneered, Such a shame. You had endless potential and you just threw your own future away with your own 2 hands. Lu Chong Shang shot back coolly. Even if he said no to her, he wouldn't be throwing away his future. He remembered a line from a history professor in his past life. Dignity is earned on the edge of a blade. Truth is found within a cannon's range. If you always back down, the bullies just get bolder. If he retreated now, how could he face the millions of Hasha he was fighting for? For friends, Hasha has a drink. For enemies, they have steel. The Hasha stands erupted in agreement. Dignity rests on the sword's edge. Anyone who messes with Hasha will be punished no matter how far they run. Chants and battle cries rolled through the crowd, getting everyone hyped. The arena got even louder. Who's gonna step up for us? Only our Chong Shan. Some were even calling him Lu, the guy who brings the fight. Far, far away in the Hall of Gods, a kid was quietly sweeping the hallway, having no clue about the storm that was brewing. In the next second, a flash of golden light blinded the boy, making him throw an arm over his face. The building's entire national fortune aura shot straight up. The kid panicked and ran to warn the higher-ups. Back in the arena, the duel was getting serious. Lu launched himself forward, the 9-toothed rake whistling as he swung it with incredible force. Sakura Momo countered with a secret technique. Mountain blow blossoms fade, willow leaves scatter. A folding fan spun into existence, giving off a heavy, mesmerizing charm. Lu didn't even hesitate. One massive swing of the rake sliced right through the fan, smashing it to pieces. Momo's calm expression faltered. A cold sweat broke out on her forehead. A rookie can land a hit that hard. I can't let this one live! She gathered the broken bits of the fan and got ready for a new attack, determined to crush him on the next move. Forming hand seals at lightning speed, she used the shinobi art shadow clone technique. Instantly, a bunch of solid copies of Sakura Momo appeared all over the stage, each one a real threatening presence. She taunted him. So you beat Matsumoto. Big deal. A brute like you could never understand the finer points of sorcery. Lu actually felt a flash of surprise. Her skill level was way beyond Matsumoto's. This was not going to be an easy fight. Sakura Momo's form flowed, moving like water. Blades slid from their sheaths in a single fluid motion. She unleashed her clan's signature move, Second Sky, First Stream, Clear Air Slash. It was a sword technique passed down through her family, who came out swinging with this totally lethal, blindingly precise move. Lu Chong X saw it coming, and his heart stopped. This wasn't some basic block and parry situation. A blade of pure energy just sliced through the air. It hit its mark, sending him flying in a crazy arc across the sky. Lucky for him, his reflexes were insane. He dodged just before the blade could do full damage and somehow landed on his feet. The Sakura crowd went wild, but in a mean way. A total rookie. How's he supposed to beat Momo? They jeered, their voices dripping with hate. Even Momo was feeling it, totally sure she'd win, and pressing her attack without mercy. Her shadow clones all smirked at the same time, try and dodge this. Their tone was pure trash talk. Then blades were literally everywhere. Sakura Momo's sword moves were just hammering the air around him, trying to end it. Lu was just staring at this storm of attacks. There was literally nowhere to run. He just roared, "Eat my rake." If he couldn't dodge, he was going to stand his ground and face it head on. He channeled all 36 of the Marshal's heavenly war forces into one epic, devastating hit. He unleashed a blow that felt like it could literally split mountains. And get this, the rake didn't even hit a clone. It hit the real Momo, a perfect dead-on shot. The whole Sakura crowd went dead silent, their faces totally pale. If she went down, this could change everything. Momo's whole vibe went from cocky to completely confused. Her clones were basically perfect. How did he even spot the real her way over on the side? Tamamo whispered a deal to Tianping. Kneel and she'll let him see her in all her glory. People in the crowd were whispering. Could a yokai really resist Tamamo's crazy enchanting powers? But then Tianping's mind flashed to Chunga, and suddenly Tamamo just looked kinda pale and not that great. He just snapped, "You're just a smelly fox, what's so beautiful about you?" You could literally feel Tamamo's shock. No one had ever straight up called her ugly like that. Before she could even process it, Tianping charged in, starting a major beatdown. People in the crowd started yelling insults. "Pig demon, take a look in the mirror. You're no hottie yourself, and you have the nerve to call out the Nintals." Tianping just slammed his rake into the ground. The impact literally ripped up the stone. Tamamo totally missed the block and had to do a backflip to get away. But she wasn't giving up. Her hands were weaving these super complicated seals as a violet light started glowing at her fingertips. Both her hands were glowing with this creepy energy as she chanted the spell for her ultimate move. She grew into this massive fox form, a seriously demonic-looking ghost that looked like it could totally crush even Tia. "Feel the rage of my celestial demon!" She boomed, her anger 9 times more intense. Lu's heart was pounding. That fox's giant foot could totally smash Tianping. If this fight kept going wild, Joa's life would be on the line. But Lu wasn't just going to stand there and watch. If he had to, he'd go for the final blow and pull out a win from this disaster. The nine-tailed fox unleashed Sedan Nico Amaterasu, the legendary Yada mirror, one of Sakura's 3 divine treasures. Powered up by its light, her demonic vibe exploded, her strength multiplied by 10. Marshal Tianping just roared, "Heaven and earth, show yourselves." The 36 heavenly fiend forces just erupted inside him. He started getting bigger, matching Tamamo's giant size. But their actual power levels were on totally different planets. A golden light started gathering at her fingertips. It was her strongest move, the Heavenly Demon Blast. Tianping blocked it like it was nothing. His 9-toothed rake spun like crazy, ripping through the air. He saw his chance and swung. Tamamo barely dodged it. The wind from the weapon just brushed her hair. Lu Chong Shang was watching, completely shocked. Tamamo, the triple S-ranked queen of the yokai, was actually getting pushed back by a double S-ranked Marshal Pigsy. Note to self, never judge by level again, he thought. Power is about more than just a rank. The fox wiped some blood from her lips, her eyes just blazing with rage. "You stupid pig, I'm gonna burn you to a crisp." The sky suddenly went dark. Even the Hasha crowd went quiet, staring at what looked like an eclipse. Tamamo just raised her hand. Violet flames shot out of the clouds and started falling. It was the Foxfire Inferno. One touch and you'd be turned to ash. Fireballs were just endlessly raining down on the battlefield. Tianping's divine shield was shaking, bits of his aura breaking off. Dean Line clenched his fists. He literally couldn't look away. Then in a split second, everything changed. Marshal Tianping raised his hand and yelled, "Water, come to me!" A blast of yellow lightning shot out from his body, zapping straight into the clouds. Two godlike figures came down from the sky, Lagong, the god of thunder, and Lei Mu, his partner, with her hammer and whip just crackling with energy. Thunder was booming as lightning bolts rained down, lighting up the whole field in a crazy gold light. When the storm finally passed, a giant crater was just sitting there in front of the nine-tailed fox. She just stared at it like she couldn't believe her eyes. How can a double S-ranked god have that much power? But the real shocker was still coming. A huge vortex started spinning open in the sky. Water from the sky started gathering, answering Tianpeng's call. The fox frowned, a worried look in her eyes. Where is he even getting all that water from? Tianpeng just scoffed. I'm a marshal of the Celestial River Fleet. The rivers of heaven listen to me. He then floated up into the storm, riding the wind like some kind of war god. Over on the Sakura side, the crowd was completely silent. All they could do now was pray. Tianpeng got a firm grip on his rake, getting ready for his final attack. The nine-tailed fox threw up her shield in a panic, not even sure if it would hold. Then, bam. A golden flash lit up the whole sky as the divine and demonic powers totally slammed into each other. Marshal Tianpeng's nine-toothed rake hit it dead center. The mirror in front of the nine-tailed fox just shattered with a loud crack. The pieces scattered everywhere, looking like falling stars. Tamamo just froze, her face totally blank with shock. Her best attack was just broken that easily, no way. The Hasha crowd went absolutely wild, cheering. The crowd was absolutely losing it. That move was so clean, just pure power out on the field. The Sakura fans' crickets, ghost white. They knew exactly what losing this god-tier battle meant. Tianpeng didn't even flinch. He moved in, ready to end it. His rake swung again, cutting right through Tamamo's body. But it was like swinging at air. He was totally confused. What the my hit went right through her? Little did he know Tamamo had pulled a fast one with her secret move, Golden Cicada Escape, leaving a clone to take the hit. Her whole smug vibe was gone. The fox's eyes were laser-focused, super cautious. This pig demon's strength was off the charts. His magic was next level. Like zero weaknesses. She shot a look at Lu Chong Shang. How in the world did Huasha summon a beast like that? Lu stared her down, totally unfazed. Got a problem, old lady? Keep staring and I'll have Piggy flatten you. Tianpeng just laughed. So that was a teleportation trick. Then with a huge grin, he was like, two can play at that game. He busted out his own technique, Aqua Light Step. In a flash, he was right in front of Tamamo and slammed his rake straight into her gut. She gasped, blood splattering on the ground. But her pride, man, it kept her standing. With a totally furious sweep of her arms, she screamed, "Summoning Rise!" A freaking rift ripped open behind her. A giant shadow dropped down with two phantom guards on each side. The Sakura fans went absolutely wild. No way Lady Tamamo just summoned Shuten Dojo Jetsu, and even Amaterasu herself, Hasha, is totally toast. The divine phantom finally spoke, its voice booming like thunder. Hasha God, get ready to die! With just a flick of his hand, 4 flying swords popped into existence. Another phantom copied him, summoning a crazy amount of blades from the sky. And yet Marshal Tianpeng was completely unbothered. He still had an ace up his sleeve, the 36 transformations of the heavenly fiends. He let out a roar, morphing into a massive eagle that flew right through the storm, weaving between the downpour of blades. After dodging that whole mess, he turned back to normal and spat. Can't win a fair fight, so you gotta call your little posse for backup, lame. But that smirk never left his face. The nine-tailed fox sneered. Still got that filthy mouth, pig. You've been running away this entire fight. Tianpeng's eyes flashed. Running? Who said I was running? He yelled, "Heaven and earth manifest," and his body started bulking up again. He became totally huge and godlike, his nine-toothed rake growing right along with him. He lifted that thing high, unleashing his next move, Celestial River Seal. A massive tidal wave of cosmic water just crashed down. It literally dissolved the divine phantoms it touched. The last ghost jumped out of the way, not wanting any part of that holy stream. How? It snarled. This stupid pig's power. It's insane. Totally enraged, it launched one last desperate attack. Streaks of purple flame shot across the sky. They slammed into the ground with this insane impact, ripping right through Tianpeng's defenses. The marshal grunted as he was swallowed up by the divine fire. The Sakura fans absolutely erupted. The miracle of Amaterasu. Just a tiny piece of her power can wreck a demon god. Tianpeng rolled across the arena floor, the divine energy in his aura totally fizzling out. Over on Hasha's side, everyone looked wrecked. They couldn't believe he actually went down. The Amaterasu phantom looked down all cold and distant. In the end, you're just an animal. From the ground, Tianpeng whispered, "Chano Chinshin!" Then to everyone's total shock, he got up. A massive hand erupted from the ground. It clamped right around the divine phantom's throat. Amaterasu's eyes went wide as her glow just vanished. Her power was completely drained. Piggy grinned. "Yeah, I'm a pig, but I've never been on the menu." With a massive crash, he slammed the goddess's phantom straight into the ground. The crowd went ballistic as Piggy's giant form stood there victorious. No one saw it coming, the demon god playing weak then striking like lightning. Lu Chong Shang watched quietly. Every single swing. Every roar, it was like the soul of Hasha itself had been set on fire again. Finally, Amaterasu's phantom couldn't take the heat and just dissolved into a bunch of light particles. With his job not quite done, Piggy turned to face Tamamo. That old anger was burning hot. Time for a little payback. With a deafening crash, his nine-toothed rake sliced right through the fox goddess, ending her with a single hit. When the dust finally settled, Piggy changed back into his god form, the Marshal of Heaven's River. Lu Chong Shang walked up and gave a deep bow. Welcome back, Marshal. You brought honor to all of us. But Tianpong held up a hand. Stay back. Lu paused, this awful feeling suddenly hitting his gut. Something was seriously wrong. The Marshal slowly sank to one knee, his divine aura completely gone. The whole arena went dead silent. Even the cheering just stopped. He just didn't want Lu to see him so broken, fading away. In Lu Chong's eyes, I was a hero, he mumbled. If only I'd been braver. Maybe things would have turned out different. Then, barely audible, he said, when I'm gone, find my master and my brother. Tell them I wasn't a coward. Lu clenched his fists, his voice shaking. No, you'll tell them yourself. He spun around to the crowd and screamed, People of Hasha, honor our god! Dean Lucian immediately knew what he was doing. He ordered everyone to get offerings ready to help the fallen marshal. All across the country, millions of people watching the live stream bowed down and prayed, sending literal mountains of food as a tribute to Heaven's hero. In a whole other realm, the Pantheon, a giant boar shadow started to move. Piggy's eyes snapped open, glowing with divine light. His phantom rose up, climbing to the second tier of the Pantheon, the zone that was only for S-rank gods and legends. The dean let out a breath and said they should count themselves lucky. Lu Chong Shang had just become Hasha's biggest hope. On the other side of things, a long sword slid slowly back into its sheath. The fight came to a dead stop. Yiz's summon from the Sakura Nation Lamea was completely still, its life just gone. At the same time, the sword Saint Lu Qing did the same, sheathing his blade. Yiz, basically knocking on death's door, looked completely shook. Before it was all over, she thought, I can't believe the power gap was this huge. Then she just collapsed, hitting the floor hard. With the fight over, Lu Qing's stare was ice cold, just hoping it wasn't too late. Time ticked by. The host jumped back on stage and announced, We've reached the final showdown of the mythic arena. Before this whole thing started, everyone thought the Sakura Nation would just steamroll everyone. But the gods had other plans, and Hasha's insane grit really shined. This last match was going to decide who got half the land. And the people caught between the two nations. The host called for the fighters to get out there like right now. Back in the waiting area, Lu Chong Shang was all set to head in. Then boom, a hand landed on his shoulder. It was the city lord. He leaned in and said in a low voice, You've done plenty. It's my turn to step up. Lu Chong Shang was quick to say he was cool with it. He knew all about Hasha's secret history with the gods, so he figured they still had a solid chance. But the city lord just held up a hand, stopping him. Exactly. That's why, he said, dead serious. This last fight has to be me. The way Lu Chongqing is vibing with his deity right now, he can't handle Sakura's secret ace. Don't forget they used to call me the It Kid among the chosen. As he finished talking, a godly spirit started to form. The legendary undefeated general Xiao Xiang appeared in this epic silver glow. Suddenly a voice called out from way off. Old Bai, I got this. The city lord turned a little smirk on his face. So you're back. Guess I'm benched this time. Lu Qing just laughed, sounding totally cool and confident. If it wasn't for Sakura's sneaky spies, I would have already made them totally hopeless. A system notification popped up. Match start countdown. 30 seconds remaining. Lu Qing's focus sharpened. Can't waste any time. I'm taking this final win for myself. And with a whoosh, he just vanished and reappeared right in the middle of the arena. Lu Qing of Hasha, he announced, his voice booming through the stadium. So who from Sakura has the guts to take me on? Over in the Sakura section, some guy did a lazy stretch like he was bored out of his mind. A second later, his body flickered, and then he was gone. When he showed up again, he was already in the center of the stage, just smirking. Takumi Yamada of Sakura, I accept your challenge. The Sakura crowd went totally nuts, cheering like crazy. The name Yamada Takumi was legendary. They were sure this final match was already in the bag. Meanwhile, on the Hasha side, it was dead quiet. Nobody could figure out why Sakura's divine child, a dude with that much clout, would leave the capital to fight in person. Lu Chong Shang frowned, a curious look in his eyes. The dean whispered next to him, He's the only divine child Sakura has had in 1,000 years. A double S-rank prodigy whose power was supposed to be a state secret. When he was just 18 for his coming-of-age ceremony, Yamada Tumi took out Hasha's number 3 master Luo Jun and his bonded god the East Sea Dragon King, all to impress his big sister. He even ripped out the Dragon King's tendons to make a bowstring. The rumor is his bonded god is one of Sakura's 3 most powerful kami, and his sync rate is at a crazy 80%. That's a number that's pretty much unheard of in the history of the gods. Hearing the truth, Lu Chong Shang clenched his fist, totally furious. Yamada Tumi, if anything happens to the Hasha Sword Immortal, I swear I'll hunt him to the ends of the earth and challenge him to a god war. Up on the stage, Yamada Takumi looked over at Lu Qing and sneered, So you're the so-called Hasha Sword Immortal. I've heard stories about you back in Shijin. Lu Qing pointed his sword at him and shot back coldly. Cut the small talk. If you hadn't killed the East Sea Dragon King 10 years ago, Hasha wouldn't have gone through years of droughts and total crop failure. all those innocent people wouldn't have starved to death. Lu Qing's rage just exploded. He roared, "Today only one of us is walking out of here alive." Yamada Takumi just laughed in his face. "Is that right? You should be honored. Honored to become a weapon for Amaterasu. Its sinew looks great in my sister's hands. And as for those pathetic people you're so broken up about, when Sakura rises, they'll get to experience true glory." Yamada's words made the Hasha crowd absolutely lose it. They were spitting and cursing. The Sakura are total scum using other nations just to get what they want. Lu Chong Shang went quiet, his mind racing. There was no talking to someone that arrogant. Weaker nations had no choice but to throw down. He swore to himself, they are so going to pay for this. "We'll make them take back every single insult. Break them until they're on their knees." The host lifted a mic. "Both fighters are confirmed broadcasting match info now." The screen showed Yamada Takumi double S rank seeker. Awakened deity triple S rank Susanoo. Lu Qing was outclassed both in his personal rank and his gods. The elder from the Dying Empire immediately gave an order. "Send the word. If Hasha loses, we declare war immediately. We'll swallow up their lands. The Dying Empire's flag will fly over the whole world." The leaders of Bangzi country gave the exact same order. "If Hasha goes down, we're taking their place and we won't think twice about it." The ruler of the Tenzu nation just scoffed. What a shame. Against the war god Susanoo's power, Hasha is definitely toast this time. The envoy from the Dying Empire gave a quiet order. "Get a message to Europoli. Tell them not to miss this opportunity. Hasha needs to be the sacrifice for the Godslayer ritual." Across the arena, a bunch of godly silhouettes started rising up behind Yamada Takumi. With just one flick of his arm, Susanoo literally popped into existence, his insane god aura slamming down like a hurricane. The Sakura crowd went wild, totally what you'd expect for Yamada-kun. Shred those garbage Hasha gods! Even with Lee right there next to Lu Qing, the dean's face was all scrunched up as he muttered, "Chongshan, this fight is going to push Hasha to its absolute limit." The announcer threw his hand up, kicking off the final round. Levi lifted his flask, took a huge swig, and let out a big laugh. "Let's go!" But then the smile just vanished. His eyes went all distant as he mumbled, "A bottle of wine in a field of flowers. Drinking all by myself." Yamada Takumi was so over it, his voice dripping with scorn. He threw his arms out and yelled, "Are all you Hasha gods this full of yourselves, zip?" A flash of gold shot at Lu Qing at like light speed. A split second later, a sword slammed into the arena with a massive boom, the move they call Heaven's Divine Feather Slash. When the smoke cleared, Lu Qing's right arm was just wrecked with blood splattered all over the stage. In that exact same instant, Susanoo went totally feral and blitzed Lee. The sound of their fight exploded behind him. Lu Qing knew right then that winning this was going to cost him everything. He didn't even flinch, just started walking straight for Yamada Takumi. The Hasha fans were so confused. Why is he just walking right at the guy? Then they heard him whisper, "When the Dao fruit is ripe, 5 eyes will open. When the sun comes up, the stars disappear." A glowing golden hilt just materialized in front of his chest, pulsing with this insane godly light. The dean choked. "That's the Sword Immortal's Dao Forge blade." Lu Chongqing's eyes were huge. "Wait, what even is a Dao fruit?" The dean's voice got super serious. When a Hasha warrior hits the absolute peak of their training, they basically compress their entire life force, an essence made of pure belief and power. The second a Dao fruit appears, it's the line between life and death for a god chosen. Lu Chongshan's hands balled into fists. The sword immortal Lu Qing is betting his own life on this. Down on the stage, Yamada Takumi's face went slack. "You're insane. You're really gonna burn up your own life force just for a power-up." But Lu Qing was totally calm, not even fazed. He knew this Dao fruit, the one he'd built over decades of fighting forged from the bones of his enemies, was worth more than anything. But this one battle would decide everything for Hasha. Even if burning the Dao fruit meant it was game over for him, he'd face it like the sword immortal he was, with zero regrets. Then his voice cut through the air, sharp as a blade. "Sword, come to me!" All over the stadium, every single sword on every warrior's hip started shaking and flew out of its sheath. A second later, they all turned into rivers of pure energy flowing into the sky as Lu Qing's own blade came down. Yamada Takumi totally lost his cool. He knew if that attack hit, he was toast. He immediately used Flash Step, zipping backward at an insane speed, but still, no matter where he dodged, he couldn't get out of the sword's glowing range. Susanoo huffed, "Guess I gotta wrap this up myself." He shot his arm toward the sky. Domain of heavenly might. A storm of purple lightning rained down, crashing right at Levi like it was sent by a god. Levi just gave a little smirk, whispering, "Even a rock can ride the wind one day, soaring 90,000 miles high." As he brought his sword down, a massive golden rock erupted into the sky, totally smashing the lightning shield with a deafening roar. Susanoo sneered, "Not bad, okay, now this is getting fun." Then he lifted his hand again. "Come to me, no Miraji." In a flash, a gigantic sword covered in storm symbols appeared in his hand. His voice dropped to a low growl. "Time to die, divine judgment descends." The attack came out of nowhere and totally blindsided Levi. Lightning just swallowed him whole, freezing him up as his pained screams were lost in the thunder. Meanwhile, in some fancy world council room, all the big shots from every major country were gathered. The guy from the Tanju Empire spoke up first, his voice just oozing arrogance. "Look, we all know how this is gonna end. It's time to talk about how we're gonna carve up Hasha's territory. With a lazy wave of his hand, a hologram map of Hasha popped up over the long black table. Since they're the winners, the Sakura Empire gets half of Hasha's land and all its people. As for us, the Tanju Empire, we're not asking for much. We'll just take the leftover 1/3. The rep from the Bangi Nation slammed his fist on the table. That's insane. Why does Tanju get the biggest piece while we get stuck with the crumbs? The Tanju guy just smirked and slowly walked closer. Then out of nowhere, he hit him with an open palm slap that sent the Bangzi delegate flying to the floor. Are you questioning what I said? Maybe I should let a Sherba god's glory cleanse your little hand song, huh? The Bangzi rep just froze up, pure terror in his eyes, and just started nodding like a bobblehead. Back in the arena, the fight between Lu Qing and Yamada Takumi was at its peak. When they finally separated, the air was practically sizzling with raw energy and crackling lightning. Yamada Takumi ground his teeth, his face twisted with rage. Inside he was freaking out. This guy is almost perfect. His spirit, his aim, and his pure power are all way beyond what any SS-ranked god chosen should have. And then it hit Yamada Takumi. If I don't do something right now, this fight is already over. He looked up, his voice all mocking and trying to be persuasive. You're not gonna last much longer, you know. Once your life force burns out, you're just a sitting duck. Come join the Sakura Empire. I'll give you power money. I'll even fix your divine core myself. So what do you say? Lu Qing didn't say a word. His silence was a better comeback than any insult. A flash of steel ripped through the air. Clang. The crash was insane, like a thunderclap, and Yamada went flying across the stage. Luing stalked forward, sword down, and his voice was low-key terrifying. Yo, I think I just saw you flinch. Yamada just tilted his head back and let out this icy laugh. And so what if you did? I'll admit it, you're stronger than me, he said, pointing up with this huge smirk. But your precious Hashigad, he's about to run out of time. On the other side of the stadium, Levi was just standing there getting blasted by all this lightning. He had his eyes squeezed shut, taking all that pain, and was just whispering, I can't go down, not like this. Up in the stands, Emperor Tokugawa looked seriously ticked off. He totally didn't expect the Hashigad to have so much fight in him, but to him it was just like delaying the inevitable. Yamada looked down, his voice booming like he was some kind of judge from the heavens. Get ready to see the light of the gods. Makoto is coming high heaven's #1 enforcer, and your fake god is about to face the music. Luing stared him down, his voice sharp enough to cut through the storm. You say gods aren't greedy. Then why do they flip out when someone talks back? If they aren't cruel, why do they get to decide who lives or dies? So tell me what's so great about them. All I see are the fallen Hasha soldiers, the starving people all over the land. I remember every single one of their faces. We're supposed to be free. Who gave them the right to act like they're better than us? Watching all this go down, Lu Chong Shang's hands balled into fists. He knew if he didn't do something like right now, Hasha was going to lose it all. Drink it up while you still can, he yelled out to the ring. Don't let that golden cup sit empty under the moon. And the crowd went absolutely wild. Thousands of Hasha fans started chanting the same thing together. You could feel the power in their words flowing right into Li Bi's body. The magic chains holding him started to literally crack. He took a sip of some golden drink, and this insane fiery shield just exploded out of him, slicing right through the lightning. The Sakura fans were shook like, no way, how did he just break a divine judgment? Even Susanu's expression changed. He could totally feel it. His opponent was now shielded by some new unknown power. So it's come to this. You're actually making me use this sword again, Susanoo grumbled, pulling out the Aim no Mirao, the Sky Cluster sword from its sheath. He had this wicked grin on his face. So tell me, poet boy from Hasha, you ready to check out? Levi gritted his teeth, feeling the insane pressure from that sword's aura. He knew he couldn't take that thing head on. But Susanoo just sneered, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Your power level is like some trainee who's been grinding for 2.5 years and still can't even debut. With that, he swung his sword again. A bolt of lightning just screamed down at Levi. Yamada Takomi was getting super cocky. I've got thunder armor and a god-tier warrior body. You're totally gassed. What have you got left to fight me with? Lu lifted his sword, his voice cutting through everything. If 1 hit doesn't work, I'll hit you again. If 1,000 hits don't work, I'll come at you with 10,000 more. His voice was like a clap of thunder. Even if this path is dangerous, I'm going down it with no regrets. The second he said it, he launched himself off the ground. The air shimmered as his sword came crashing down on Yamada Tumi again, with a force that was just unstoppable. Susanoo roared, basically daring Levi to draw his sword and face him. But in this shocked everyone, Levi didn't say a thing. He just tilted his head back and chugged another gulp of wine. Susanoo's eyes flashed with rage. Are all you Hasha gods this cocky? He spat. Then the craziest thing happened. His full power swing just cut through nothing but air. Susanoo's eyes flicked up. Something felt off above him. All of a sudden, this ghostly green lotus flower bloomed in the air. That was it, Lei's signature move after drawing his sword, the legendary Qing Lotus 1 sword. Li sheathed his sword and whispered, this move is called the Qing Lotus Sword Song. But even Li Bai was shocked that Susanoo dodged every single hit perfectly. And then just like that, Susanoo totally wrecked the end of the sword song with his heavenly thunder myriad forms. The Sakura fans were loving it, jeering, "That's our war god Susanoo for ya, those Hasha gods are toast." Even the dean looked worried. He whispered, "He just used the Sword Saint's ultimate move. Stopping him now is gonna be almost impossible. Things are looking really bad for Hasha." When I heard that, I started to panic. "No, he's still got a shot! The Levi I know has more tricks up his sleeve," I yelled. Susanoo charged in again, starting a whole new attack. His voice boomed, "Your style is amazing. But you're up against the hope of all of Sakura. I'm fighting for my people." Levi caught his balance after getting knocked back and shot back without missing a beat. "You fight for the people. All I see you do is cause pain and destruction. All your big talk is just a cover for who you really are." Susanoo's eyes went ice cold. "You're just some low-level god. You dare to judge me?" He let out this crazy, angry laugh. "Today I'm shutting you up for good!" A massive clang echoed through the whole stadium. Susanoo's hit sent Levi flying. His sword, the Qing Lotus Blade, just shattered in midair, breaking into a million pieces that rained down like shooting stars. The Hasha crowd was frozen, whispering like they couldn't believe it. "No, no way. The Sword Immortal's sword, it broke. Is the god of the Sakura 3 really unbeatable?" Levi slammed down onto one knee, shaking all over. A little blood trickled from his mouth as he gave this sad smile. "This is gonna be a long, tough road." "I can't believe Levi's going down. Not back home in Chang'an, but here to some other god." Watching this nightmare unfold, Lu Chong Shang couldn't stay quiet anymore. "Everyone get out the old scrolls, start reciting his poems," he yelled. He turned to the hyped-up crowd. "Your voices are the only thing that can awaken the poet immortal's true power." His voice got all serious and respectful. "He's not just the sword immortal. He is Li by the poet immortal." The entire stadium just went wild, chanting together. As the words filled the air, it was like, I'm laughing at the sky as I walk out the door. "We're not just some random weeds. We're here to ride the wind and own the waves. My sail will cut through the endless ocean." And just like that, Levi's aura totally exploded, his power surging like a tidal wave. He felt something click deep inside him. He didn't know these words, but they were thrumming through his veins, ancient and unstoppable. Susanoo's eyes went wide like he couldn't believe it. How could some dude on his last legs suddenly get this ridiculously strong? And then my own voice joined the chant. "My sword's energy stretches for 30,000 meters. Its light freezes 19 provinces." A blinding flash from the sword just split the sky. Inside the glow, Susanoo's face was twisted with pure rage. "You Hasha pests, you have officially pushed me over the edge," he bellowed. And thunder shook the whole arena. The Sakura fans were totally freaking out, because their so-called war god was now covered in this nasty dark vibe, his holy glow replaced by straight-up rot. It all clicked for me in that instant. Yamada Takumi had always treated life like it was nothing, so of course his god Susanoo was just as cruel and bloodthirsty. Susanoo's voice echoed cold and low. "So Hasha god, you ready for this? I'm going to drown you in despair in the deepest, darkest pit." Levi stood tall, his eyes getting sharp and focused. The second Susanoo said the word decay, a black fog just erupted like a living tsunami, swallowing everything. I balled up my fists. This fallen version of Susanoo's power was a total mystery, and for the poet immortal, the real fight was just getting started. Levi backed up fast, dodging the waves of black gunk washing over the arena. "But you can't dodge it forever." The decay surged up from behind and swallowed him whole in a split second. "It's over. Hasha is done for." The dean stumbled back, his eyes just filled with hopelessness. But then, like a miracle, that same mysterious shield flickered back to life, saving Levi from being totally wiped out. But something was seriously wrong. The poet immortal, who was so full of life before, now looked super old and frail. His hair was silver, and his body was shaking under the weight of time itself. "That's the power of time," Lu Yen gasped. "There's no way he can fight back like this." In the crowd, Lu Chong Shang took a shaky breath, his voice trembling. "No, it's not over yet. Everyone knows Levi for his sword," he announced. "But his real genius isn't the blade, it's his poetry." On the stage, Susanoo just smirked as the corruption ate away at Levi, then he roared and swung his blade down. The impact was like a shockwave, sending Levi crashing against the wall at the far end of the arena. Susanoo started laughing like a total psycho. "Pathetic Hasha god, I'm gonna watch Sakura grind your precious divinity into the dirt." Levi struggled back to his feet, gasping for air with pure despair burning in his eyes. "Is this really how it ends?" Lu Chong Shang's fists were clenched tight. He knew another chant could reignite Levi's divine power, but it would totally wreck him in the process. He glanced around at all the anxious faces behind him, and he made his choice. Throwing his head back, he yelled at the sky. "Life is just a quick stop on a long trip. Death is just the soul going home. Heaven and earth are just one big inn where everyone mourns the dust of time." Instantly, the crowd got it. This was a new chant, a second divine power-up. An insane amount of pain ripped through Lu Chong Shang as he dropped to his knees, shaking like crazy. "Chong Shang, stop! You're gonna get yourself killed!" the dean screamed. But he ignored them, his voice all raw and defiant as he forced out another line. The words hit Levi, and in that second it all became clear. Human sadness was just a speck of dust in the endless river of time. Using the last bit of his strength, Lu Chong Shang yelled one final verse. Heaven gave me this talent for a reason, even if I lose everything. It'll all come back! A massive flash of light just engulfed the whole arena. Levi vanished, and everywhere he stepped, these bright blue lotus flowers bloomed. Clang, his sword sang out across the void. A sound so loud it felt like it split the world in two. With 7 stars at my feet, I drink the sun and moon, Levi roared. The light from his sword ripped through the sky, its pulse matching the beat of time itself. Susanu's eyes were huge. He just couldn't process it as his own divine power was peeled away by Levi's sword aura. Impossible. This Eastern swordsman has actually mastered time itself. Meanwhile, Yamada Takumi, all broken and bloody, but somehow still grinning, was just lying on the ground watching the chaos. This win is still gonna be mine, he rasped. To him, the dying swordsman Levi was already toast, a total non-threat. He looked over at the main battlefield. So what if the sword immortal takes down his own god? It doesn't change a thing. The ending's already decided. Susanoo, even though he was furious, couldn't deny it. This guy in front of him was the toughest opponent he'd ever fought. But his pride was way stronger than his fear. Without all the blood I've spilled, he roared. How could I even claim to represent Sakura? His words totally fired up the crowd. All over the stands, the people of Sakura went nuts, cheering for their war god as the guardian of the night. Up in the royal box, the emperor's wrinkly face twisted into this nasty smile. With all this belief pouring in, Hasha has already lost. The fight's momentum shifted hard. Susanoo went into full-on rage mode, his godly power just rocketing into the sky. One hit sent Levi flying dozens of meters back. Before he even had a chance to get up, a massive lightning storm came crashing down, completely engulfing him. He desperately threw his sword up, but the storm just ate him up, his white robes barely visible in the lightning. Watching from the ground, Lu Chong Shang clenched his fists. As the heir of divine resonance, he just knew this wasn't the end for Levi. This was Levi, the poet immortal. The guy who was smarter than every scholar from the Tang dynasty, whose legend was bigger than time itself. But Chong was broken, not whole, and he'd forced a divine. Using this power now could straight up end him. But when he looked at his people so desperate, and saw Levi all beat up and fading, he knew there was no other way. His mind raced through a whole ocean of verses, searching until this one ancient poem just exploded in his head. The Song on the River, the exact one he wrote when he totally shattered the limits of being mortal. Taking one last massive breath, Lu Chong Shang screamed at the sky. Drunk I shake the 5 sacred peaks, my verse laughs at the endless sea. The words literally became glowing gold symbols that sunk right into Levi's forehead. Time just froze. A shadow from 1,000 years ago fell over his soul, and the memory of the real immortal poet woke up again. The azure lotus sword began to sing a sound like a dragon's roar. A brilliant aura just shot into the sky as the immortal poet of the Tang dynasty woke up for real. Ghostly vibes surrounded him, scholars, heroes, and all these ancient souls. Levi had once promised to be better than every poet past and future. They were all hyping up his timeless work. Bring the wine, leaving by city at dawn. Verses that would never die. Levi was standing right there in that memory. He was totally lost in a daydream, picturing himself reborn on the golden streets of Chang'an with thousands of people screaming his name. But back in the arena, he was just standing there, completely zoned out. Down below, Lu Chong Shang was getting so pissed his fists were clenched tight. Nothing! Did the whole god-poet power-up fail? Then the sword shimmered, its reflection morphing into the shape of a brush. His voice boomed like thunder. I'm cutting the chains of the past! For the first time, I know who I really am! A flash of emerald light, quick as lightning, blasted straight through Susanoo's divine body. The god of the East was down. You could see the total disbelief in his fading eyes. How could he have any power left? Levi looked at his sword slowly. This blade, he said, it carries the fire of when I was young. The arrogance of a guy who really thought words could rewrite the world. He looked down at Susanoo's disappearing form. You don't have to carry that weight anymore. Just take the L and rest. The storm went quiet. Susanoo's body dissolved into tiny specks of light that just drifted away. Yamada Takumi was frozen completely in shock. Then it hit him. If he took out Leaking, he could still win this. He lunged, but Leaking's blade was faster, piercing his stomach first. The look of shock on his face was a perfect match for his gods just a few moments ago. The Sakura fans totally lost it, their voices filled with panic. The Hasha crowd roared back victorious. The whole arena was shaking from their cheers. Lu is a god, forever a god, they were screaming. On stage, Licking sat cross-legged, his breathing finally calm. Behind him, Levi's spirit started to change its old glow, turning into something divine and totally next level. A gold UI panel flickered on. Asterisk system notice Licking and Levi dual ascension achieved. The dean shot to his feet. The sword immortal just reforged his Dao core. His divine rank and his mortal level both jumped up. It's a total rebirth. The city lord turned completely stunned. What's this new Dao core called? The dean breathed out slowly, his voice shaking with awe. The twin arts of sword and poetry. It's unbelievable. Chongshan is always full of surprises. The crowd went wild. The applause was deafening in the divine arena. In the center of it all, Levi's voice rose calm but challenging. The young nobles of Wuling ride east through the golden market, their white horses dancing on the spring wind. His words rippled through the sky, the power rolling out like a divine wave. A flash of light burst from Licking's severed arm. In seconds, golden energy was surging. His arm grew back perfectly fine. The host's voice boomed. Mythic Arena, round 1, Hasha versus Sakura, final score 3-2. Victory goes to Hasha, an epic comeback from the edge. They dropped 2, then won 3 straight. Glory to Hasha, and now for our MVP, Lu Chong Shang, come on up and claim your nation's prize. Lu God, Lu God! The crowd was screaming as Lu Chong Shang walked onto the stage. A glowing menu popped up. Option 1, take half of Sakura's population and destiny. Option 2, take half of Sakura's territory and destiny. He smirked a little. Hasha's never been short on people. But land. Land is where the real power's at. He firmly tapped option 2. The sky literally split open. A giant crimson dragon burst out of the clouds, soaring across the sky and swallowing half of Sakura's territory in a single breath. Watching his empire get wiped off the map, the Sakura Emperor's eyes rolled back and he just collapsed out cold. A new golden banner scrolled across the sky. Asterisk global rank update. Hasha rank number 9. But before the cheers even died down, new alerts started flashing. Rome, India, Norland, the Andes Federation. All issuing challenges to the Sakura Nation. The city lord frowned. 4 nations are challenging Sakura? Weren't they supposed to be allies? Lu Chong Shang laughed, but it was cold as ice. When the prey goes down, the wolves move in to feast. It's always been that way. Then a sharp ping. Asterisk main god resonance Pangu plus 10% synchronization. His expression got serious. He just stared as the numbers climbed on the glowing screen. So that's the deal. Summoning god-tier allies makes my connection to the main god stronger. He looked up at the sky, his voice serious and determined. If Hasha's destiny keeps rising, summoning Pangu on the mythic stage won't be just a dream anymore. Lu Chong Shang realized the divine trait entries were basically fragments from the gods he'd blessed, each one giving him a permanent boost to his divine stats. His core move, the ninefold mystic art, didn't just block all soul damage, it also healed the old wounds he got from overusing the god gift rituals, which meant... So now he could basically make anyone a god, no strings attached. Total game changer. But while that was going down deep in some hellish underworld under Psycho, the Sakura Nation's western capital, the goddess Amaterasu was chilling on her black throne rewatching Hasha's win on the big screen. And get this, she wasn't even sad about her brother Susanoo getting wrecked. She was actually, entertained. Interesting, she whispered with this seriously evil smile. But that whole vibe changed the second she heard that Sakura's so-called allies, Rome Barrett and the rest, had totally bailed on her nation. Her amusement just vanished, replaced by pure ice-cold rage. Freaking hypocrites! They're all gonna get what's coming to them. She lifted her hand, black smoke swirling around it. Sakura's out for this round, but once I'm ready, I'm wiping them all out. One by one. This dark energy started flowing into this human-like thing in front of her. It was her clone basically cooked up with some dark magic. The whole room started shaking when the clone's power just exploded everywhere, literally warping the air around it. Her servants hit the floor shaking like crazy. Nobody dared to say a word. The sun goddess, who was once all bright and shiny, was now giving off this super scary deep darkness vibe. A few minutes later, the official forfeit message flashed across the arena screens. The price for bailing Sakura had to give up its capital city Kyoto to the team that won the last round. Everyone in Kyoto went dead silent. You could see it on their faces, they were crushed, all hope gone. Meanwhile, the Hasha crowd went absolutely wild. Nobody saw a bonus prize coming just because the other team quit. That's just what happens when you lose, he thought, his eyes losing their spark. Anyone with that slave mark loses their powers, becomes an empty shell, and just fades away miles from home. But it wasn't all good news. 3 of Hasha's own cities had to be handed over to other nations as part of the fallout. When Lu Chong Shang heard that, it hit him hard. He could just imagine all his people kicked out of their homes and suffering under new rulers. At the same time, Barada's High Council was totally trashing the Sakura Nation, calling them cowards and roasting them for giving land to Hasha instead of actually fighting it out. So when this general with a beard asked who Barada was going to challenge next, the whole room got quiet. Then Barada's holy son spoke up super chill. Rome and Greece are holding the top 2 spots. The smaller nations are trying hard, but they're not worth our time. We wouldn't get anything out of it. Then he dropped the bomb. So our next opponent is going to be Hasha. The general's eyes went wide. Like Hasha asterisk, just asterisk wrecked the Sakura Nation. And on top of that, this new prodigy Lu Chong Shang was on their team. Beating them was not going to be a walk in the park. But the holy son just smirked. Doesn't matter how strong they are. Their gods are basically broken. He went on to explain that Hasha's gods lost their real power thousands of years ago in some old war. Now their gods can barely even hit the divine general level. And divine kings forget about it, they have 0. The general actually laughed at himself for being scared. With all of our divine kings, this is going to be a total cakewalk. The holy son's eyes had this wicked glint. Soon Hasha's weak sauce gods are going to be wiped from existence. That sent a shiver down the general's spine. Was this for real? The same chill monk he used to look up to? Then up on the arena's broadcast stage, the host was checking out the upcoming matches with a curious smile. Next up, we've got Barada challenging Huasha, he announced. The news hit the Hasha crowd like a ton of bricks. Going up against one of the big three civilizations, that sounded like a total death wish. But Lu Chong Shang just narrowed his eyes. So they really think we're an easy win, huh? A few days later, back at Hasha's National War Command, they were already getting ready for a fight. The picture of those captured Sakura citizens was stuck in Lu Chong Shang's head, just making him more determined. He turned to Lu Qing. So which 3 cities did we have to give up? Ming, Ao Hong Harbor, and Isla. Lu Ying said, his voice super serious. Just Isla by itself could support a whole empire. Even if we threw everything we have at it, getting it back would take forever. Lu Chong Shang balled up his fists. Then let's get it started. If our ancestors couldn't do it, then we will. He asked for the full files on all of Hasha's command-type gods. Lu Ying raised an eyebrow. You're planning to use divine generals to take back our land. You know it. A few seconds later, a whole stack of top-secret files showed up in front of him. Every single one had the seal of Huasha's most epic gods of war. But what totally blew Lu Chong Shang's mind was that the legendary Xiang Yu the Conqueror was ranked as just a B-rank god on the official list. When Lu Ying found out which 3 gods Lu picked, he got this thoughtful look. Qi and Neza, okay, I get it. They both proved they were beasts. Back in the War of the Gods. But Xiang Yu seemed kind of lame, to be honest. But he didn't doubt for long. In literally seconds, Lu Chong Shang boosted Xiang Yu's divine form from a C rank all the way up to a fiery double S tier. The sync rate between him and the god shot up to 90%. Seeing Lu's body shaking from the strain, the dean ran over. Stop, you've already given too much. You've already done more than enough for Hasha, the old man begged. But Lu just closed his eyes and let this deathly vibe wash over him. He started chanting some ancient spell, the ninefold mystic rebirth. This massive wave of spiritual energy just exploded out of him. The creepy black fog got totally vaporized. When the pressure finally let up, Lu opened his eyes, a small smile on his face. It worked. His soul was safe now. Don't even trip, he told the dean, totally calm. My real god is Pangu, the creator himself. No spiritual blowback is ever gonna touch me. The dean just froze. Pangu. His mind was completely blown. Like, was this kid even human anymore? After he got his strength back, Lu looked over at the ghostly shape of Xiang Yu. In all of Hasha's history, the guy was a total legend, but still. Like nobody had ever really seen his god mode. From this day on, Lu whispered, the world is gonna remember the name Xiang Yu the Unbeatable. A girl ran right up to him, her eyes sparkling. Lu Shan, you're my absolute hero. Right next to her, the fiery Neza floated, giving Lu a serious once-over. Weird, Neza said. Why do you have the vibe of the patriarch? And then it hit Lu like a lightning bolt. 1 Qi creates the 3 pure ones. Taiyi Zhenren was a student of Yuanqi Tianzun, one of those 3, and Neza was Taiyi's apprentice, which basically meant Neza was Pangu's grand disciple. The second he thought it, a massive shadow of Pangu himself flickered into existence behind Lu. Neza totally froze his eyes, getting all watery like he'd just seen a long-lost ancestor from 10,000 years ago. The truth is, Neza was never actually a bad kid. He was just a guy desperate for his dad's approval. Every rebellious move, every bit of defiance was just him screaming for Li Jing's attention. Seeing Neza get all emotional in front of the patriarch's ghost, Lu Chong Shang raised his hand and started pumping divine energy right into him. As the ancient words were spoken, the air around them started vibrating with some seriously old-school power. Neza's whole body jolted. An insane surge of godly energy just exploded from inside him. Flames and wind swirled at his feet as his windfire wheels ignited. The fire-tipped spear glowed in his hand, and the Qiankun ring and red sash on his shoulders were lit. His contractor, the girl next to him, gasped. Oh my god! Our sync rate just rocketed from 30 to 80%. Then Bam Pangu's huge shadow appeared over them again, his voice booming like thunder. Enough. Since you're my grand disciple, let me hook you up with a little something extra. In a flash, Neza transformed again. 3 heads, 6 arms, his godly aura blazing like a brand new sun. Totally stunned, Neza dropped to his knees and bowed deep. Grandmaster, I swear I'll never forget this. With Pangu's blessing and Lu Chongqing's power-up, the girl Lin leveled up to an S-rank divine contractor her sync rate with Neza, locking in at a solid 86%. As for Lu Yenran, the girl partnered with General Bai Qi, her eyes were practically glowing with total admiration. If Bai Qi hadn't already gotten his full power-up, she would have been begging Lu Chong Shang for another boost. Pretty soon, all the chosen gods and their human partners were gathered in the war room. Lu Chong Shang stood in the middle of it all, his voice calm but totally in charge. All right, listen up. What we're about to do is going to push both gods and humans to their absolute limit. Our next objective, Lu Chongqing announced, is to take back Huasia's 3 lost cities. His tone was chill, but the order he gave next made the whole war room go dead silent. Lu Qing will lead 30,000 troops. Neza, Xiang Yu, and Bai Qi will each lead their own squads. We hit them all at once. The city lord just frowned. Even with every other nation distracted by the tournament, those colonies are locked down tight. 30,000 troops isn't gonna cut it. Lu Qing gave a small smile. If it weren't for Lu Chongshan, we'd already be toast. Sometimes you just gotta have faith in the next generation. That's our biggest strength. You could feel the weight of his words. This wasn't just some mission. It was a declaration that their nation was back. Lu Chongshan added, and we're gonna live stream the whole thing. The people need to see this. The gods are still on Huaxia's side. The dean looked worried. If we mess this up, the whole world is going to clown on us. Then let them watch, Lu shot back with a grin. Because we're not going to fail. His voice echoed like thunder through the command hall. Get ready to move out. This is a war for our home. Get Neza on the line, he ordered. Initiate divine combat protocol. A few minutes later, Neza was leading his army down on the Tenjiku colony of Aile land that used to belong to Huaxia. On the other side of the battlefield, this glowing figure appeared. 6 arms, 3 heads, riding a peacock made of pure light. His voice boomed. You little punk! How dare you step foot in the domain of Brahma, the Lord of Creation? Back in the command center, the dean went white. That's the top god of Bharata. That's Brahma himself. Lu's eyes narrowed. Brahma, one of the 3 big gods, the top deity of the Brahmanic faith. After the Gupta Empire fell, he kind of faded out. So what's he doing here in some random colony? He clenched his fists. Even Neza at full power might not last 1 round against a guy like that. Out on the battlefield, Neza didn't back down, fire burning under his feet. Tenjiku's land. Are you kidding me? Aile used to be part of Yangzhou, one of Huaxia's 9 provinces. His spear lit up. I'm here to take back what's ours, and no god is gonna stop me. In the control room, the dean was yelling, he's being way too reckless. That's Brahma we're talking about. Even a triple S-tier god would get wrecked by the supreme creator. But Lu Chongting's eyes narrowed. No, something's not right. The real Brahma wouldn't be this chatty. His aura, it's unstable. The sky went green as Brahma's hands started glowing with godly light. Interesting, Brahma said quietly. So you're one of Buddha's kids. Huaxia's Tao and our Dharma come from the same place, you know. So why not come back to the true path? Neza's eyes were blazing. My destiny is my own. Not even the heavens can tell me what to do. With a yell, his heavenly sash flew out, wrapping Brahma up in red ribbons of divine fire. Then raising his spear high, Neza shot into the sky like a freaking comet, aiming right for the god of creation himself. As he watched the fight go down, Lu Chong Shang felt a little flicker of pride. Neza was bold, but sharp, hitting like lightning, fierce, decisive, and not holding back at all. Unbelievable, the dean gasped. Is that really the power of a supreme god? Even a double S-tier god couldn't get past his defenses. Sword Saint Lu Qing walked into the command room, his eyes sharp. Brahma's spiritual core is shaky. If Neza plays this right, he's still got a shot. Brahma was all chill, lecturing like, you were born a child of Buddha. Embrace your golden form. Let millions worship you. Don't mess this up. I've heard enough of your garbage, Nezar roared. His flaming spear just exploded forward, rocketing straight for Brahma. Lu squinted. Hold up, that's not the real Brahma. It's just like a projection. Nez scoffed. So that's what your gods are all about. All talk and no show. And just like that, he went for it, his spear aimed to totally wreck the avatar. Brahma, looking completely stunned, threw up his golden bowl of mercy to block. Kaboom! A huge blast just ripped through the battlefield. Oh, thank goodness it was just a projection, the dean gasped. If that was the real deal, even Nezar might have been toast. But Lu Chongting's face tightened. Brahma's power is seriously fading. He used to be this top-tier god, one of the big 3, and now he's just sending projections to preach in the outer zones. Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma? Every single one is going to be a major boss fight in the mythic arena. At the same time, over in Hongdao, Xiang Yu was torching every last ship, the flames shooting up into the sky. People of Wasa, he yelled. We've been pushed around for way too long. Burn it all down. There's no turning back. Let's take back what's ours. His soldiers went absolutely wild, roaring as one. He's the real deal, our king. We'd follow Xiang Yu to the end. No regrets. Our backs are against the wall. Let's take back our home. Their chant just thundered across the burning harbor, a promise that they would never ever give up.